Hi guys, today we'll be seeing a scenario on what if the live team from Chilean Empire mappings WICSO came to the real world before it collapsed. This is the version before it collapsed. So let's just dive into the scenario. So they're gonna first declare war against. Oh, so they're gonna first declare war on Eritrea, Yemen, and Oman, and Saudi Arabia, Palestine, Israel, and Turkey. So the line team is going to do some pushes into Eritrea, later making them capitulate, later into Oman. This area screwed. We do see some fighting back do see some push-throughs in Turkey and Israel. But they are going to just, do this. And now they have the entire army focused in Turkey. So first they're gonna take over all of Kurdistan. Later they capture Ankara. They decide to surrender, leave their troops there to defend this area. They're going to make an attack on Istanbul, later capitulating. Part of it, don't really know. And what the? So the country that they're gonna invade next is Ethiopia and Iran. And these countries and countries that will be working together for like the first time. They're also gonna Somalia. The troops will start to cut off Ethiopia from this place, later trying to capture the capital, which is successful. In Iran, they'll have the same success. One country is going to help Iran to take out the line team, and it's Pakistan. Their Pakistani troops are going to try to push back the limes. So it goes a bit successful because the unexpectedness. I don't know if that's a word, but just now. So now they're suddenly failing at this place. But they are going to cook in the north. Later, they're going to invade the south. So also that does go successful. Ethiopia will send troops to Somalia to kick them out of Africa. They're going to push back and also chase them out. Later cutting them and taking out their Somalian territory. They're still unsuccessful on taking Eritrea and Djibouti. Iran will retreat all of their troops to defend Tehran. Then they are going to, but Tehran still gets captured, and the Iranians surrender up until there's like one more country left. That is the country that declared war on them. So troops will immediately come to get Pakistan. They're going to straight up rush for their capital, which will go successful. They're going to rush to Punjabi. India will take over the Kashmir area, and Pakistan surrenders. The big empire in the Middle East and the Horn of Africa. They actually have all of the Horn. Now they have a plan to connect up their, but before they do that, they'll try to improve their army because failure in the last war, because they didn't lose, but they were like losing a lot of land. Until they build up their army, they're going to declare war on. They're gonna 14 countries. They're that confident. 15 actually. They think they can withstand 15 countries. Actually 13. They think they can withstand 13 whole countries. Their military build up. So Russia is gonna get involved in the war. Because Georgia, they're going to take some of Georgia. India will take the Panhandle, and the rest of it will be so they are going to do this because of the edge they have without Uganda in the war. Kenya does fall ultimately, and the capturement of the South Sudan is capital. They're going to make some pushes into Egypt, even capturing the Nile, some parts of the Nile. Libya is not even that hard. Now they'll go after some of the countries that are harder, like this, because they are gonna eventually beat the Afghans, so Afghanistan just decides to surrender. Turkmenistan's capital is so near that they are forced to surrender. Georgia, they're going to do this. That's gonna happen to Georgia, and Greece, they're gonna land on Athens. Gonna make a big push into Bulgaria. Mountains in one side, so they send some troops there, some troops there. For their last invasion before the video ends. So their last place that they're gonna invade is Russia and India. For taking some land from them. Before that invasion, they built up their military, put their troops in their borders. And since Russia and India wasn't really expecting this in the early layer of alliances, actually we don't need that. The color can tell which side they're aligned in. Now they're now going to Kashmir and into the Well, in Russia it doesn't really go too successfully. So they're going to invade they're gonna invade Central Asia to get through that. Now they're gonna invade Central Asia. So to get through the defenses, Russian troops rushed back, but like some of them were killed, and now this area will fall to them. Uzbekistan is just not gonna fight. They're just gonna decide to surrender as long as they don't lose any land, which they agree with. So now Uzbekistan was the only country that didn't fight. But Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, and Kazakhstan will fight. Belarus but they're gonna get their first ally. Ukraine. They're gonna get Ukraine, Finland, Lithuania, Poland, China, their biggest ally, China, Nepal, and that's pretty much it. Some countries will try to fight China. We'll see China will just fight China. Even Australia's gonna get involved. Wait, these island countries also. And the US. Okay. They're just gonna use Mexico and Cuba as a distraction. Canada will still refuse to join the war. Because China does not. And their last allies they're gonna get are the Baltic states. So there are already territories from The Poles are going. Well, Kaliningrad is a fortress. It says there's one front, there's a giant country in the south. They're gonna retreat from every territory that they're gonna retreat from every single country that they have occupations on, but they still recognize these two territories as their own. They do one successful battle, another one. Kaliningrad falls. They're going to try to approach St. Petersburg. China does make some pushes into taking Vladivostok, keeping this area almost. They're not gonna make any more advances into. They're just gonna take this land and they're not gonna make any more advances into Russia. They're going to push through, invading through Bhutan and they're going to Bangladesh is gonna be in the war later. Either they make a push through here. Vietnam's a bit hard, but they are going to make some pushes into Vietnam. I do agree that these two countries they don't anymore. So they're gonna get rid of some of China's allies that could join the war. Mongolia wants to stay neutral because joining either side will just let them be cooked. Them will pushes from Europe or pushes into Belarus will happen when crossing through Russian territory. They're gonna decide to completely leave Crimea. They're going to abandon this territory and they're gonna abandon European, and they're gonna also abandon Kazakhstan. Not all of Kazakhstan, but still gonna defend some of it. But most of it they won't defend anymore. More pushes into here happen. Later into their the Kazakhstan leader flees to Russia, so Kazakhstan fully surrenders. They see Russia's position, and the Kazakhstan's leader will flee to Mongolia. In India is not going very good. New Delhi is captured, then Mumbai. And India just decides to surrender. They managed to kick China out of Vietnam, even making some pushes into China. American support will arrive to defeat China and the Middle Eastern country. Russia will use some of the American support to use it for attacking purposes, but now they'll go defensive. China does eventually capture Taiwan, and all of these countries will just decide will sign a treaty in China to leave the war, but they're not gonna give up their occupations. And China, they are gonna go through more of Russia. But China also just decides to leave the war because they don't want to be involved in it. Nepal will actually stay. So now it's just a war between Europe. This area will be taken away from Russia because it's Chinese occupation. Same with Taiwan, they gone. China owns this land. But really the damage has been already done. The Russia is falling until they surrender. And now it's just America, and then they'll just leave.